Breaking the law. Breaking the law.
Hello, welcome to episode 74 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is John Denton. With me as always, Chet Roivas.
What's happening?
So you know the deal, 2 top 10 lists. Ain't even going to talk about it. Let's just get this shit on the road.
Okay, all right, my number 10 then is Assassin's Creed 2 on the Xbox 360.
3 goldies.
Yeah, it was last month's instalment of Microsoft's disturbingly shit attempt to mimic PSN. I was having a clear out. I downloaded it. How does this work? If you download them, you keep them and you can re-download them whenever you like. If you miss them, they're gone forever. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay,
because I've only downloaded that Defense Grid game that I only played for just about 5 minutes.
All right, okay. I downloaded it just because, but I was having a clear out, so I went back in and thought I'd have a look at it. I had an old save. It was before this mission where I went and saw some woman called Christina, and there's a quick time event, and you press it, and then you kiss her, and then you press it, and then you take her dress off, and then the camera goes outside the window, and then you press another button, it goes, oh, Ezio. And I was like, what is this carry-on bollocks? I don't remember this. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I can remember that bit. Yeah, it's like, I think that's why everyone says Ezio's a good character. I don't get it. Those guys just fucking lost on me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall that at all. And anyway, I did another mission, and it was take an envelope to a fucking guy, and I was like, it made me realise that when I like the Assassin's Creed games, at least I really like Revelations and the third one, but I was really trying to think how much of them, how much of the things I love about them have anything to do with the gameplay. I can't think of any great missions, any great it's almost always to do with the plot. The great bits of actual game, I couldn't recall any. Anyway, it's dated. It's aged quite badly. The NPCs are really stiff and they convey almost no emotion. It was really strange to feel like it was. It felt like a game that was older than 5 years, but that's just sort of because we've come so far. With regards to that stuff, the free running was a pain. Without I like having to hold a button, you have to jump and blah blah blah. Yeah. I played it for like about 10 minutes, and I just tuned out, and I was like, I really don't need to be doing this, so I deleted it, and that was that. Done.
I don't like Assassin's Creed, but the new one does look good.
It does.
But I'll get burnt again, I'm sure. Do you know what I hate about Assassin's Creed? The way it cuts between cutscenes and normal gameplay, and it does that jolty shit every single time. I hate it.
What jolty shit? You mean like it's coming in and out of the animus?
Yeah, it doesn't do like a clean cut. It'll go, like, and it just does my head in.
Okay, fair play.
Yeah, I know. It's nothing, but it does my head in. My number 10 is a game that was suggested by a listener on Twitter, something that we love when that happens. Unfortunately, I feel bad, actually. The game is called Neuroshima Hex. It is a sort of somewhere between a board game and a sort of strategy puzzle game on iOS. There's a free version, which was handy. It seems really cool. It is a game where, the reason I can't even explain it is because, I started this game and it gives you this grid of hexagons, and it's one team against another team, and then you can lay down your base hexagon and then start to lay, and even as I'm talking, I'm confusing myself. And it started layering on information after information after information, and I was just, it was starting to unravel the way my brain in the same way did. Basically, I did A-level maths and failed it miserably. I did GCSE maths and did really well. And I still have nightmares about my A-level maths classes because they just made no sense. It was like they fucking leveled up the subject to a degree where I could never, ever even compute one single thing about it. And this is how this felt. And as a new bit of information came up and another one and another one, I was like, dude, this looks like a cool game. I reckon for a lot of people, they'll really like it. Neuroshima Hex. But for me, I am way, way too stupid to even understand the tutorial. So apologies.
That's it? You're going to bail?
Yeah, I started, the tutorial kind of mixes in with the game, and I felt like sometimes when I look at my little boy, and all kids do this at this age, they just stare at you, but they don't just stare at you like a human being would. They stare with a kind of vacancy of literally not understanding anything about anything. It's just like they're just eyes happen to be pointed in your direction, and I could feel my eyes glazing over like that as I was staring at the iPhone, thinking, "I'm just a stupid person. I don't deserve to do it. I don't deserve anything in my life." And at that point, I turned it off. But the game seems good. It seemed good. I could tell it was good. It had won an award. That guy said it was good. I reckon if you like that sort of thing, you should check it out. Neuroshima X.
Neuroshima Hex. Yeah, I've downloaded the light version, so I'll have a look before next week.
You might get on with it, but I reckon it might be too much a head fuck for you as well.
All right, okay. I thought I heard chess mentioned. It's nothing to do with chess, no?
Maybe.
Oh.
Yeah. It sounds. Yeah. Maybe.
Christ.
It's chessular. Definitely.
Chessish. All right.
Yeah, it's chessish.
Okay, all right. Well, my number 9 is The Shopping Dead on the Xbox 360. It is an indie game, and it's yet another first-person shooter. I think first-person shooters now are in danger of usurping everything else and being the most popular or the most prevalent genre on Xbox Live indie games. Yeah, I mean, it's more basic and less enjoyable than most of them. You're in a very, very small fenced-off part of a shopping mall. You have infinite ammo, and avatars just pop up and walk towards you, and they need 2 or 3 headshots, and they just vanish when they die. The gun has no weight to it. It's incredibly unsatisfying. The scenery is quite fun. If you walk into a shop, say like there's a clothes shop, the guy or the girl who's created it have just walked into a clothes shop and taken a snap of the shelves and then posted it in the back. It's just like a wall with a photograph on it. And then there's one of a bookshelf as well. I mean, it's really, really ropey. So yeah, it tries to add a bit of spice to the gameplay by giving you control of turrets. And they're meant to add strategy, but they tend to ignore enemies, and they're too weak. And even though you can upgrade them, and I upgraded them with a bit of money, they don't do anything. They just shoot around the enemies, and they're too weak. They don't do anything when they do hit the enemies, which is by accident. I didn't play it for very long, but it felt like fucking purgatory. And I've got no doubt, like a lot of these games, it was fantastic, invaluable experience for the guy or girl that created it. But if you put it on the Xbox Live Indie Game Marketplace and expect people to pay for it, I think you're delusional. And it's 400 Microsoft points. Shit. But I found out the other day that once you go over a certain file size, there's a mandatory price increase.
Okay.
So I didn't realise that. But some of the games where I thought the creators are just nuts, it was actually because the file size was too large. I don't know why this is a large game, because there's nothing to it. But yeah, for the love of God, stay away from it. The Shopping Dead, it's pony.
The Shopping Dead is the sense of purgatory. Do you reckon that's like a Romero-esque comment on the state of going into a shopping centre, much like Dawn of the Dead? Or do you think that they're just not very good at making computer games?
If the guy or girl that created that game wanted to try and make that case, I'd turn up to listen to it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you go to their house.
No, I mean, I assume this is going to happen in some kind of courtroom, because I mean, I want my money back.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd be at that trial as well. That'd be good.
Yeah, it would be good times.
Yeah, my number 9 is Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Oh, yeah.
On Xbox 360. I'd heard about this when they announced it. I think it's made by Starbreeze. If not, it's made by people who used to work there. I've always been a fan of them. Interviewed the guy who's now, I think, heading up that Wolfenstein game over probably just down the road, Jens Mattis, and he was fucking awesome. This was years ago when they were working on the first Darkness game. Anyway, this is their Xbox Live indie game, not indie game, Xbox Live arcade game, and it's also coming out on PSN and PC in a few weeks. But do you know anything about this game?
I know bits and pieces. Yeah, I've been reading reviews and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people are comparing it to Journey. I've really only just played the beginning of it, so that's why it's so low down in my list. I'm sure I'd have finished it by next week, but already it seems really nice. It is a tale of two brothers. I think their dad is very poorly or dying, and the game starts with you and your brother, who you control both of, one on each stick. You're basically carting. You're in you have your dad. Sounds weird. You have your dad in like a wheelbarrow almost, and you have to cart him down a hill against your house. But it's just like one of those ways where they have a subtle tutorial kind of wound into an opening without it being too awkward. And already you can tell just by having one guy on each stick and having one trigger for each character's interact button, for want of a better word, it immediately doesn't feel like anything else that I played straight away, which is cool. It looks really nice, and I'm hearing that it just gets better and better. A nice mix of puzzles and atmosphere, and it's emotional. You know me, I like all that shit. So I'm excited to play more. I wish I'd had time to play more, in fact, but it just didn't have time.
Yeah. No, I'm really curious about that one as well. Did you play it on 360?
Yeah, it's not out in the other ones yet.
Oh, right, okay.
It's like a 3-week exclusive because it's in the Summer of Arcade on thingy, so on Xbox, sorry. And then I think that, it's exclusive there until that promotion runs out, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. It's a funny one that I remember reading a review of it. I'm pretty sure it was a review in a magazine like a month or two ago, and then there was all this weirdness with the embargo dropping and some sites putting the reviews up and then others saying we can't do it until this time.
Yeah, I heard some noise about that, yeah.
Yeah, very weird. But yeah, you're going to play more of it then?
I'll definitely do it. Yeah, apparently it's only about 3 hours long. Seems right up my street.
3 hours long, really?
Yeah.
Wow. For how much is it? 1,200?
Yeah.
Christ.
Journey style.
Oh,
Journey
okay.
style.
All right. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. All right. Okay. My number 8 is a game called Unearthed: The Trial of Ibn Battuda.
God.
It's not on the PlayStation 3. It's on the iPad. I didn't realise, but the exact same game that's on PSN is also available on iOS. So you can try the free trial if you're so inclined. I don't know why I decided to download it again. I came across the fact that it was on iOS and I downloaded it. It's probably the biggest app I've ever downloaded. I'm pretty sure it's well over 3 gig.
Jesus.
So I had to delete loads of stuff to do it. And it is what I said it was. It's an untidy and very hurried budget game. But the fact that you're not constantly thinking about Uncharted made it seem a little bit better. There's also a semi-auto and full auto aim, so you don't have to dick around with the shooting so much. The fact that it's almost identical to the PS3 one, and the fact that a tablet can do what a console can do, made me think that maybe we are ready for new. I've always thought we weren't quite ready for new consoles, but now I think we are, just because the wow factor is so underrated for sort of getting non-enthusiasts. That's what the industry needs, is people who wouldn't normally buy a console getting console, and that helps. Anyway, the Unearthed: The Trial of Ibn Battuda. I played through it to where I got to. It's identical. There's no ledge. I was looking for a ledge. It told me that I could find. What I
You still couldn't find the ledge?
Yeah, no joy.
What did you delete to make room for Ibn Battuda? A load of like precious family photos.
Yeah, no, I just downloaded games that I'll be able to re-download from the cloud. But it is impressive that it's identical. The only time it isn't identical is if you move the camera quicker than, say, you could on a DualShock. Obviously, it struggles when you try to do that.
Right.
I also noticed it's subtitled. The title has a subtitle, which is Unearthed: The Trial of Ibn Battuda, Episode 1. I'm like,
oh Christ.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Look forward to that one.
I thought The Trial of Ibn Battuda was a subtitle.
Yeah, the subs. The sub.
Double subs.
DS, yeah.
Yeah, you can't beat a game with double subs. My number 8 is Pacific Rim on Xbox 360.
Oh, yeah.
I was delighted to play this. I saw the film of Pacific Rim, I told you this, didn't I? And I thought it was fantastic fun. The game, not so much fun. It is unbelievably shit. Way worse than it should be. Even when all movie games are shit, it's still worse than that. It's made by Ukes, who make the WWE games and have done forever, which I'm pretty sure is about 9 guys who sleep under the desk in a Japanese studio. In fact, I know they sleep under the desk in a Japanese studio because that's widely reported. But anyway, given that they've been making games where 2 big things fight each other since about 1996 or something, you'd think that they might be able to handle this a little bit better. But no, in the demo you can pick a Jaeger, which is one of the giant robots, or a Kaiju, which is one of the giant baddies, and have a scrap. You can hit them a different way, you can hit them slowly, you can kind of dodge a bit, and most of the time is spent with the 2 monsters not facing each other, swinging at thin air, and it looks like shit. It is shit, unbelievably shit. It's only a download game, but what a missed opportunity. I'm not expecting there to be a AAA version of Pacific Rim as a video game, but still, it's not exactly a difficult property to turn into a computer game, is it?
Yeah, really.
And the fucking biggest crime of it all is that their whole game is shot from above, so they look really small. These giant, like 20-story robots and monsters, which the film does such an incredible job of making seem impossibly huge, look like tiny little micro machine men.
Oh, brilliant!
Idiots. Yeah.
How much is the full whacker? 800.
I think it's only 800. Yeah.
All right. I won't bother. Okay.
It's not even worth it for the gags.
What? Not even the trial?
Well, yeah, I only got the trial, obviously, but no, it's like. It's just kind of depressingly shit instead of amusingly shit.
Yeah, I know all about that. Okay, my number 7 is Crackdown on the Xbox 360.
Goldies.
Yes, another freebie given away this month. I think it's still available, so if you haven't downloaded it, you should download it. It's older than Assassin's Creed 2, but it's aged so much better.
Is it? Cell shading is good for that, isn't it?
That's true. But it was. I have looking at it now. I do think, wow, it really was a great game at the time. It really was. They did it was what they promised. They said it's going to be Grand Theft Auto, but with superhero policemen, and that's exactly what it was. It lived up to those expectations, and I kind of forgot that. And the fact that it still stands up really does say something about it. Me and Zeno jumped in for some co-op, and as soon as we were like, whoa, as soon as we jumped in and waves started coming back, we were like, should we do this? Should we start the campaign again? Should we do this? Should we do that? In the end, we didn't do that. We just DOSed for an hour because, as the hour went on, we were like, we did cane it back in 2007.
Yeah.
I mean, we absolutely caned the hell out of it. So we, again, like with Assassin's Creed, by the end of the time... by the end of the hour, we were like, okay, that excitement's gone. We're probably just going to delete it. We're done with this game. But for that hour, I mean, we climbed to the top of the tower.
Yeah.
We had a race to the top of the tower, which is always brilliant, which takes about 20 minutes. And then Zeno won, so he kicked me off. And then I stood at the bottom, and he jumped off, and he did the plummet thing where you press B and you hold down and you sort of plummet really fast, whilst I tried to hit him with rockets. And then we tried and failed a few times to have a mid-air smash in those souped-up cop cars. And then the best thing is we played chicken in the street. I had this massive truck and he was just on his feet. And it's a key to the city mode. You stat up everything so you don't have to worry about. You're basically superhero straight away.
Yeah.
And we played chicken. He ran towards me and he punched the front of my truck and it did exactly what it does in the Dark Knight and flips over, goes upside down. And it's just brilliant. If you didn't catch up with it at the time or thought that it's aged badly or you just have no intent, honestly, it still stands up. So if you have not played it, especially if you can play it on co-op, and I assume if you've got a 360, people who also have a 360, download it. It still stands up, but we couldn't play it because we played it a hell of a lot back in the day. It's a great game.
Yeah, I saw it on there today actually to download. And the only reason I didn't is, apart from having caned it like you back in 2007, in fact, with you back in 2007, there's a game that I'll talk about later in the list where I suddenly thought, oh, hold on, I'll just play this instead. Oh. So, I'll talk about that in a minute.
Interesting.
But my number 7 is a game that I've got a sneaking suspicion might be on your list as well. A ride into the hills. A ride to the hills?
A ride into the mountains, isn't it? Is it a ride into the mountains?
I'm pretty sure it's the hills.
I'll check my phone. I'm like 99% sure it's into the mountains.
You're probably right.
Hold on.
Oh, nice. You still got the click on your phone.
What click? Oh shit, the game's still going. What's the click?
This is great radio.
I can't put this back.
I just did the exact same thing, but without the sound. No, a ride. The game is called A Ride into the Mountains, so you were wrong.
What? That's what I just said.
I know. A Ride into the Mountains. Apologies, I fuck knows what I'm talking about. The reason I couldn't remember what it was called is because the app only says a ride. Yeah. Anyway, so is this on your list as well?
My number 5, yeah.
All right. So I played, a decent chunk of this game. It is, it's an iOS game. It's Chinese, I think. Is that right?
I think it's. God, this is terrible. I'm going to find out right now. Carry on.
Okay. You're a dude. Something bad happens, or he gets annoyed or something, and he jumps on his horse and he has a bow and arrow, and the whole thing's 2D, kind of really old-fashioned graphics. I want to say like Atari 2600 style. Maybe Commodore 64 at stretch. Nah, probably not. And anyway, you have a bow and arrow, and there's monsters in the sky, and you can pull back on your bow and arrow and fire arrows at them. As it gets harder, hitting them with the arrows becomes harder. You can tilt the iPhone to move your horse back and forwards along the screen to dodge the bullets that are firing down to them. And then later on, it switches to a top-down view, and you fire arrows, and there are certain enemies that will make the arrows curve off in different directions. And it's cool. I thought it was really cool. I wanted to play more, but I didn't really get a chance. But I liked everything about it, really. It was kind of stylish and different. Fun mechanics, plays nicely, feels like an iPhone game, doesn't feel like it should belong somewhere else. And I didn't have anything bad to say about it. It didn't like grab me by the balls or anything like that, but I thought it was cool.
I had much the same reaction. I mean, I just thought it feels, it does, like you said, it feels like it was. Well, it was. It's the perfect iOS game, and I like the way it doesn't penalise you for doing anything wrong. It takes you back a very small increment of the distance that you've travelled. So, I have done probably a little bit more than you, but from what I can gather, seeing how positive people are being, I think it just gets better and better and better. Terry Kavanagh was talking about it, like bigging it up on Twitter this week or last week.
That's always a sign of quality.
Yeah. So, it's already worth 69p for sure, but I'll speak about it next week, and I'm sure it's a nifty little game, definitely.
Yeah, likewise, I'm definitely going to play more. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, a ride into the mountains. Check it out.
Apologies for getting the name wrong. I'm an idiot, but we already knew that.
Yes, we did. Okay, all right. My number 6 is a game called Tatakai Tank Rush on the Xbox 360. It is an indie game, and I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe something along the lines of Tank. I don't know why it's an indie game, but it is a surprisingly ambitious real-time strategy game. That takes place in a 3-dimensional sort of ghost world of it's one of 3 fields basically. It's very simplistic. And there's shades of Advance Wars to it. Just because the vehicles are so simple, it's like big tank, big artillery, little artillery, infantry, scout, and it just, you're moving them around. And it's very, first of all, the AI is really brutal. Even on easy, it's always foggy. There's always the fog of war system. Right. So you have to sort of send scouts out, and if your scout gets found, they get killed straight away in one hit. So it's basically only really worth getting if you're going to play it couch local co-op. Because there's no online, needless to say. You just build refineries, they turn resources into cash, and then you build more turrets and you build more tanks. It is essentially Advance Wars. There's a very good tutorial that goes really in depth, and it's very, very, very thorough. So newcomers won't have a problem with it. The AI is a little bit. The AI of your vehicles is a little bit hit and miss, so you sometimes have to mollycoddle them round like corners and stuff. They'll occasionally just drive forward and get stuck. Not all the time, but sometimes they will. It's very straightforward. It's 80 Microsoft points. If you're a fan of real-time strategy games, and they get a rough ride on consoles, apart from probably. Halo Wars, Ruse was one. Supreme Commander 2 was underrated as well. They don't really exist on consoles. So this, 80 Microsoft points, if you've got someone to play it with on the couch, it's actually not bad. And anything that even vaguely resembles Advance Wars, I will give a thumbs up to. It's pretty good, surprisingly good. It's one of the most ambitious indie games I've played on the service.
What's it called again?
Tatakai Tank Rush. It's only just come out this week, so it's.
Is that the same Tatakai as in Owen?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, nice. I don't know. What does the word mean?
Fuck knows.
Exactly. No clue. But yeah, it's brand new, so have a look if that sounds interesting. It's actually not bad at all.
I won't, but yeah, I like the fact it's got that word in it. That's a big deal. My number 6 is Narco Terror on Xbox 360. Have you played this game?
I did the trial. Yeah, I did. I left so little of an impression on me that I didn't even bother. putting it on my list.
Yeah, at first I thought it was going to be great, but yeah, it blanded out pretty fast. For those who don't know what it is, I don't blame you. It is a twin-stick shooter, which is probably the most willfully dumbass game I've ever played. You play as an idiot. He has some sort of issue with the cartel. His solution to that is to punch a helicopter and then go to the cartel and shoot them. And there are barrels and you shoot them, then they explode, and the whole game just seems to be about explosions and rolling about. For the first 5 minutes, I thought, this is good. Explosions everywhere, no pretense, no bollocks, no attempt at trying to be serious, just blowing everything up. But then quickly it got incredibly boring. And by the end of the trial, I had no interest in investing in the real deal. It wasn't explosive enough. It wasn't snappy enough. It didn't go stupid enough. It wasn't like clever. It was just dumb for dumb's sake. It's all right. Like, it's not bad, but do you need to play this? Really?
No.
Why does it exist?
No, exactly the way I felt. But I've played so many games like that that do get it right. That just it aims low and it fucking misses, and it looks ever so slightly like the Expendables 2, the game. So I was just playing it with a grimace on my face, having flashbacks. I mean, I did not even bother putting on this list because it's fucking crap. With the trial, maybe it gets good after that. Who knows?
I don't reckon.
Me neither. Okay, all right. My number 5 is a ride into the mountains. Recommended. Check it out. I'll talk more about it next week. Done.
All right, sweet. My number 5 is Cloudberry Kingdom on Xbox 360. Heard of this?
Yes, I've downloaded it. Haven't touched it.
All right, sweet. This is a platform. I believe, I'm pretty sure this is true. Every level in the game is randomly generated. I think that's the main hook of it, but you couldn't tell really. It's one of those like hell platformers, but it's actually not that hard for the first 20 or so levels. You customize a little dude. You can give him a hat, a beard. It's not a lot to say, and then the levels just go from left to right, and they're kind of tricky platforming, but not Meat Boy tricky, and not even like hard Mario tricky really yet. I only did the first 20 something levels or something like that. It's a sizable trial, and the game is cool. It's fun. The platforming is nice. It handles nicely. It allows you to. One of my favourite things about 2D platformers is when you can do a level without stopping, and the whole point of this game is you can do every level without stopping, even though it's randomly generated. The algorithms involved somehow produce each level, so you can not only do it all without stopping, but you can collect all the gems on the way without stopping, which gives you a perfect score on each level. And you basically get to the end of the level, hit a button, and then the next one starts immediately, so you can just keep going into a flow. And I did maybe 6 or 7 levels just basically without letting go of right on the stick. And I was like, this is fun, man. There's too many games at the moment for me to, even at the beginning of August, for me to invest in this game. I think because it wasn't Meat Boy good, and I think if you're not Mario and you're a 2D platformer and you're not doing something really interesting like Limbo or Braid, it needs to be Meat Boy good, and it's not quite. It's like 7 out of 10, even from what I played. I can kind of tell that's what it is. It's really good and really clever. And there's co-op mode, which I couldn't play, but it wasn't quite mind-blowing, you know?
Yeah, I remember looking at the box art and just thinking, that looks like a 7 out of 10. That weird sort of semi-old man guy with his bald head, and I was just like,
you can customise him.
Oh, yeah.
But he always looks the same, basically.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people on Twitter who were like, whoa, really bigging it up. Maybe it turns amazing after the beginning. I watched
a very funny video on Video Gamer of my good mate Simon and another guy who works there, Chris. But Simon was the one playing it, and he was late on. He was like at level 60 or 70, and it does look like it gets a lot harder. But he was basically saying the same sort of thing. It doesn't quite hit those heights, but it was funny watching him because he was just flipping out with anger.
Okay.
But it's fucking tough, man. Because even in the drought, and it has been a drought of big games, there's been a ton of stuff that's kind of appeared on Steam, and just today, on the day of recording, like Papers, Please is out on Steam, Guacamelee out on Steam, next week Gone Home's out on Steam. These are just like small, like medium profile games that they can take up your time, and that's not even before you start talking about the big games that are coming out. It's you've really got to be selective now.
Yeah, no, that's true. Papers, Please, what are they charging for it then?
I think it's about £5-6.
So that's finished, because I know it went through loads of stages of development, and that's the finished article, is
That's
it?
the finished on Steam game, yeah.
Okay.
I only found out it was out today on the bus on the way back home to do this podcast. So yeah, otherwise it would have appeared. But I'm sure I'll have it for next week because I love what I played with the beta. Thought it was corking.
Well, if it's somehow available on Mac, I'll definitely look into it.
I think it is. Yeah,
Or
I
good.
think it is.
Good. All right. Good shit. Okay, my number 4 is Liberation Maiden on the Nintendo 3DS. Have you played this?
Well, I don't know what this is. No.
Liberation Maiden. Well, my number 1 this week should have been Killer is Dead, but there's an embargo I'll talk about in a couple of weeks. But I'm not spoiling anything to say that game, the Suda51 game, owes a hell of a lot to everything he's ever done.
Right.
So I was doing a bit of research, and this Nintendo 3DS game is one of his, and I didn't realise.
Right.
I think I made a mental note when it came out. It came out at the end of last year. I made a mental note to play it, and I just completely forgot about it. It's £7 on the 3DS eShop. And as far as I'm concerned, it's really worth it. I really, really like it. It starts off with a brilliant anime cutscene. I mean, nothing looks better on that top 3DS screen than those 3D manga animation. Yeah. It looks so incredible sometimes.
Like the Fire Emblem ones.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've jaw dropped several times when I was watching the beginning of this. Anyway, Tokyo's under attack, and you're the president, and as a response, you jump into a flying mech droid, and you're flying above Japan, and you basically have to. It looks slightly like Lilac Wars. It's very polygon, so it's not especially pretty, but it does move fast, and it is. It's not unpleasant to look at, but it's not quite state of the art. It's basically, it owes a huge debt to Res. The bottom screen, everything you do on the bottom screen with the stylus mirrors what happens on the top. So you you draw where everything is on the top, and then let go, and then it's sort of you paint everything, let go. And then it's basically Res. The only other control you need, you use the thumbstick to move around, and then you use the L trigger to strafe, which is the only problem with it. It's like Kid Icarus. You're holding it with your left hand. You're using the L button a lot, and it really hurts my fucking hand. Yeah. I never quite got my head around what that stand was that came with Kid Icarus. But if you find that useful for Kid Icarus and you play this, it will almost certainly come in handy as well.
I couldn't work that stand out.
Yeah, I don't know how it would benefit. I suppose you put your elbow down and then you. I don't know. Anyway, it's basically Res, but the you fire these things called deflector nodes. But once you've shot them all, your defenses are gone. So if you fire all of your bullets at the wrong time, you're left completely open. So you have to be a bit more careful about it. There's a charged like blade gauge move which you can perform sort of this massive attack. It's really chaotic. It's just. I mean, I can't really go into a lot of detail about it. It's basically Res that looks vaguely like Lilac Wars over Japan, really mental, really polished. I never felt like I was getting skanked by it. The only problems is only 5 missions long, so I think I completed it in about an hour and a half. There is replay value, but criminally there's no leaderboards, and it's all about high scores, which is just mad. The 3DS can do it. That just seems that's crazy. That's why I read some reviews about it today. Reviews of it, sorry. And a lot of people were really pissed off that you pay £7-8 and you get 5 levels and that's it. I mean, I think it's. I've wanted to play something vaguely similar to Res for ages, and this is the closest. Well, it's the only thing that I think's vaguely compared to it, but. Yeah, it's quite short, but I'm going to play through it again from beginning to end, probably tomorrow. I really liked it. Yeah.
All right. It sounds like my street. I'm concerned about the price. That's all.
Yeah, it's difficult. I enjoyed it so much, and there was no difficulty spikes that annoyed me. There was no bits where it sort of. I'm happy with the £7 that I spent, but I like shooters.
Well, I love Res. It's one of my favourites of all time. Yeah. But what's the music like though? That's what I love about Res.
It didn't make any impression on me. I mean, it's fine. I don't know. It's probably made by what's his name? What's his name? The Silent Hill guy.
Yamaoka.
Yeah, that's right. Because he and those two collaborate all the time. I can't verify that. I've just read too much about the guy over the last week, so.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah,
Kidder is dead.
Liberation Maiden, I really liked it, and it's a shame there's no demo because you can't try before you shell out £7, which is,
Yeah. Yeah, I might YouTube it, but then again, I'll give Suda my money.
That's what I thought. That's why people said if you're a fan of his work or another thing, get it. So yeah, I took that advice, and it was good advice.
All right, yeah, Liberation Maiden, you say?
Aye.
Cool. My number 4 is Spelunky on Xbox 360. The reason I played this is I read the excellent Eurogamer re-review of the Tom Bramwell wrote about it today on Eurogamer because it's come out on PC today, and I think it might be out on PSN as well, which means it's out on Vita, and I think I might rebuy it on Vita because that is a corking game for Vita. Anyway, Spelunky is a brilliant game. I've not played it for probably about a year now. It's a shame you never played it. You know what it is? It is the roguelike platformer survival game, trying to get deeper and deeper down through the levels. He sums it up a million times better than I ever could. He's obviously played it for hours and hours and hours, and he's a very eloquent chap as well, talking about how it's all about playing with predictable and then unpredictable systems, so everything reacts in a certain way, but then the world will flip it on its head. Crazy shit happens in the game all the time. Some of the stuff it rolls, like the levels it rolls, the ideas that it rolls, just kind of blow your mind for what is essentially a simple game. And he said it was the most, basically the review, I don't know if you read it, but insinuates that it's like the most perfect 10 out of 10 he's ever played. I don't know about that. I haven't played it enough, but I do know that it is gleaming, and I'm very happy to have played it again. And I think, I've now convinced myself throughout talking about it here that I will buy it on Vita because I can see me playing it on there more.
Little man walking around caves.
You got to play it. I tell you what you got to do is. Then again, I think Tom's review probably works better for someone who's already played it. I was about to say you should read that. It'll convince you.
I read that when they gave it a 10 last year or earlier this year, whenever, and I was like, I don't know. It's partially, as always, it's just something that I don't fully understand. So, I'll. Didn't you say the trial of the 360 version was terrible?
Yeah, it's shit.
Ah, okay.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. I can't quite remember what it does, but I remember it just doesn't convey the game. It's more like a tutorial of how to do the controls and shit. And, like how to throw a bomb, how to do this. But it's not the game.
Okay, I'll catch up with it.
Magical game.
All right. It's just been in a sale on 360, which is...
Guy who made Super Meat Boy said it's in his top 10 favourite of all time as well today on Twitter.
Fuck. Spelunky. Little guy walking around a cave. Oh, there's a snake. I died. I have to go and do it all again or something?
Yeah, but you don't do it. You do it all again, but it's not all again because it's completely different.
What if you keep getting shit levels?
But there's no such thing as a shit level.
I don't get it. All right, well, I'll
you need to play it. It's just one of those games you really need to play.
Yeah, okay.
You need to play that shit.
All right.
It's classic.
All right. Okay, all right. My number 3 is a game called Fist Puncher on the Xbox 360. It's an indie game that's also available on PC.
Yes.
Have you heard of this?
I have, indeed. It was featured on Steam briefly, and I saw the name, and the name annoyed me.
Why did it annoy you?
It was just for stupid.
Yeah, I suppose it is stupid. I played this... I'm pretty sure you showed it to me many, many months ago. I'm pretty sure you sent me a link and it was in a browser. It was like possibly did they get funding from some sort of demo, flash demo? Anyway, as soon as the first menu came up where you pick your character, I was like, I've played this at some point. So I'm not sorry. That's just the that's my memory being terrible. It's a sort of an 8-bit scrolling beat 'em up that's reminiscent of like stuff like Renegade and River City Ransom or Street Gangs as it was called over here, and everyone keeps forgetting. Double Dragon also. I've seen a couple of people say it reminds them of 16-bit stuff like Streets of Rage, and that's overstating it a little bit because it's not quite that sophisticated, deliberately so. There are moments in it instantly where like there's a red train, and I was like, that looks like the train from Streets of Rage as I remember it. And then there's a bit on top of a moving truck that remind me of the beginning of Dragon Ninja, Bad Dudes. Remember that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think there are a lot of references in there to old scrolling beat 'em ups from years ago. You pick a character. There's 4. They've all got like a special move of their own, and you fight through these levels to save these women who've been kidnapped. And yeah, you move around the map, go and beat a load of people up, and then every time you level up, it's a very simple stat system. You just build your attributes one by one. You get 2 points every time you level up, and you build up your strength or your defense or your specials and stuff. It's incredibly simple. I mean, I liked it for about an hour. But yeah, anyway, other systems, there's a rage meter. You pick up letters sort of Donkey Kong style, R-A-G-E, and then when you get that, you get sort of you're tough for about sort of 5-10 seconds, which is really ineffective, actually. I don't know whether that changes the longer you play. Obviously, I'm sure if you stat it up, it will become better. But for the hours I've been playing, it hasn't really done a whole lot. You can also use the right stick to do a quick roll, but evasive manoeuvres are just kind of useless because you're always running in and just fucking kicking people, or indeed punching them. It was good for a couple of hours. There is something really visceral about it. It's so simple and it is so retro. The way that a couple of times there are ways to do bosses quickly by using specific moves or using playing the game as there's a way to do bosses, as there is always bosses. But on a couple of occasions, I just fucking run in there and just started punching, and you can do them like that as well. It's really old school. They don't, so there is something really. It's like it's the same reason Anarchy Reigns was really good, because you can just going in and just being a meathead and just punching the shit out of something. But the longer I played it, I mean, there was this bit where you have to find these 4 keys, and you walk into this area, and it's like the key is behind one of these 4 doors. You walk into the first door, and there's 10 to 15 identical enemies. Kill them all, walk through the next room. You walk through 4 identical rooms. There's 10 to 15 different enemies in each of them, and it takes about almost 10 minutes to beat your way through. And then at the end, there's either a key or there isn't. And regardless of whether or not there's a key, you have to walk back and do exactly the same thing on the way back out again with the same enemies and the same. And I'm just like, that would be tedious if I was playing Bayonetta, if the combat was really elaborate and really rewarding. But it's not. It's just kind of punch special moves. You can get special moves where you can transfer special energy into health, keep yourself alive, blah blah blah. I mean, like I said, there's something visceral about it, and there is something really, in the same way that I said that I think I'll periodically always put in Anarchy Reigns and just have a cathartic little punch around on it. Yeah, I think the same about this, but it does. I don't know. It doesn't. It didn't quite grip me for as long as I was hoping. I'd heard good things about it, and it's definitely not bad. It's 400 Microsoft points on Xbox. I'm not sure what it is on Steam, but it's also, I only played it on my own, and by all accounts, it's far better. It supports up to 4 people in local co-op.
Right.
I don't know if it's online co-op on PC. It definitely isn't on 360 because it's an indie game. Yeah, I'd say good, definitely not great.
I just don't like the name.
Fist Puncher. When I saw it, for some reason I thought of Kick Puncher, which would have been a hell of a lot better.
Kick Puncher, is that from Community?
The movie they always watch in Community.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the trial's worth a look, I suppose. I'm sure there's a trial on PC as well. I think
there is. Yeah, I think
there is too fucking many retro themed beat 'em ups, scrolling beat 'em ups these days. Mm-hmm. There are too many of them, but it's not a bad one.
Yeah, I'll never play it. I don't know why. Well, something about their name's just like, oh, aren't we clever? So no, you're not.
Do you reckon they think they're clever?
Yeah, Fist Puncher. I don't know. I don't know why it winds me up. It's nothing. It's a pointless reason to get annoyed about anything.
Right.
Especially when I get to talk about Saints Row motherfucking 4, my number 3.
You can't talk about
that. I don't. Yeah, I'm going to a bit.
All right.
The embargo drops actually next week, so I'll talk about it properly next week. And I haven't played enough to talk about it much anyway. But I tell you what, I've listened to podcasts. I've listened to Giant Bomb, I've listened to this and that, I've listened to things. People are talking about this game. I'm hearing tweets all the time, people going, I shouldn't say this, but this. Do you know what? So I can go say a bit as well, because I don't care. I enjoyed Saints Row 1. I didn't really play Saints Row 2. I didn't get on with Saints Row 3. I seem to be the only person in the world, and I think that I might have been wrong. But Saints Row 4 starts out rather well. I am actually a little bit wary of speaking about it too much. It's fucking hilarious. That's all I say. I mean, properly hilarious. Laugh out loud funny on multiple occasions during the first hour. I'll just say the first day I was like nothing else I've ever played, and then the game starts. They talked about this on another podcast, so I think I can get away with saying that. My character that I'm playing is a swole version of Terry Silver from Karate Kid 3, which is makes me happy just thinking about him. And I don't want to go into specifics. I don't want to break any embargoes or any of that bullshit. But they seem like this is if Saints Row 3 was them letting loose, this is the game where they know with absolute and utmost confidence that them letting loose is something that people want and something that they should definitely do, because they seem to be firing on all cylinders. Like the bits I did really like about 3, and obviously I didn't get to the end and I know it kept getting better and better, it just seems to be like that all the way through. But I've only played a bit and I don't want to break an embargo, sorry.
Motherfucker, I can't wait for it. I've seen lots of stuff on Twitter, people saying that, I shouldn't say this, but blah, 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 and that it's all positive. The funny thing, though, is that some people have said, oh, God, it's so much madder than 3, and I'm like, it can't be that much madder than 3. But the final third of that game, it really does go apeshit. And I spoke about a couple of bits that I remember hopping through that computer mainframe, which was all Tron-like, as a sort of a wrestle, like pulling off wrestling moves as a toilet. I mean, it truly went bananas the last third of the game, and I loved it for it. I loved Saints Row the Third so much. So the fact that this is, I mean, if it starts on that note and only gets,
starts.
I can't wait.
Jesus, I mean. I wish I could talk about how it started. I don't know, even next week after the embargoes. I'm sorry if that clicked. I pulled a little while. Even next week after the embargo, I won't.
No, I don't want to know.
Say what happens.
Good.
No, and don't go on YouTube and watch it. Honestly, just play it.
Oh,
it'll be spoiled. Not you, but other people.
Yeah, of course,
It'll be spoiled to fuck. But yeah, I was cracking up. And then the game starts, probably because it's not really open world for the first hour. It's like an introductory thing. It's just those guys are having a lot of fun over there, and all power to them. I can't wait to get back in.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, I can't wait. I knew that people said that they were mental for releasing it so close to Grand Theft Auto. I'm like, it is now so different from Grand Theft Auto. It is not even. I mean, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And I laughed so much during the third one. So yeah, I hope this measures up. Shit, can't wait. Okay, right. My number 2 is Pikmin 3 on the Nintendo Wii U.
Oh, I saw you got it.
I haven't got it, unfortunately. I borrowed it for all of about 2 or 3 days, and then I've had to give it back.
Okay.
So I've played it for an hour or two. It's actually my number 3, but I wanted to split apart my number 3 and 1 because they're very similar.
Right.
It's an incredibly disorientating opening. There's backstory and there's this voiceover. I mean, it's very charming. But it felt like it's kind of self-conscious. Like, this is the first time Nintendo have ever done anything like this. They always start their games with silent cutscenes, and this is something they've never done before. Have you ever? I mean, I don't recall this with the big booming voiceover and the backstory and the sort of cutscene going on. I was like, what? It feels
I can't fucking remember.
It felt to me like for the first time they sat back and said, maybe we should do it the way they do it. And I was like, this is so weird. Because once the game starts and the music kicks in and then the characters are introduced, it's like classic Nintendo straight away. And it's like this.
I don't even remember that bit. It must have completely washed over me.
It was only brief, but it really disorientated me. I was like, this doesn't feel like Nintendo in the slightest. But anyway, that's once that's gone, it's straight in, and it's like I said, I've only done a couple of hours. I did it with a mate taking turns, and it was just straight away it's a joy. I liked everything about it. The only thing I'm not sure about, having played the GameCube one so much, and I played the Wii remix of the second one for a little bit, you can't guide the Pikmin. With the second thumbstick, you always could sort of usher the Pikmin into a little group. So if you were walking past something that you wanted to pick up, rather than throw a couple of Pikmin at it, you kind of usher them round to kind of sort of into a little shape. You did it with the thumbstick. I can't remember what you used on the Wii remote. I tried it on the Wii remote and I tried it on the gamepad, and I couldn't figure out a way to do that. So I think they've cut that out, which is a little bit of a shame, because that was a lot of fun being able to sort of sort of move them around like that. It's also annoying that you can't zoom out. I know that the pads, the map sits there next to you when you're using the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, and you can always go to the map if you're on the gamepad. But the great thing about the first one was you could zoom straight out and it would tell you exactly where you were. And initially I thought that having it on the pad would be a lot easier, but it took me a little while to get used to sort of. I'm sure that'll pass. That's just having played it on the for the first couple of hours. Pikmin's good. It's always been good. It got better with 2, and the magic's still there with 3.
It just gets better and better
I'm sure,
and better, that game.
No doubt. I mean, I love the characters. Where's Olimar? I thought so. When he didn't turn up, I was like, they can't. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm sure he makes an appearance later on. I just, it's just Nintendo goodness. I like the fact that lemons are called zest bombs.
Yes.
Limes were called zest bombs. Lemons were called face wrinklers and stuff.
That's right. There's some brilliant ones later on as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to get sucked into that world and stay there, but unfortunately, like I said, I only borrowed it. So hopefully, I can borrow it again soon and really, really just really crack on with it. How long is it?
Because I was a bit of a Pikmin noob, it's probably taken me longer than it would someone like you who's played more of it. Yeah. But it isn't short, I was playing it for a long time, and I still haven't finished it. I'm right at the end. Well, yeah, and I'm pretty near the end. But I mean, I'd probably put in a good 10 hours at that point.
Okay, good.
But I reckon that same amount would probably take you 7, just because it took me a long time to get my head around how to play the game. So I'd only played it maybe like 3 or 4 hours back when the very first one first came out, whenever the hell that was, a million years ago.
Well, yeah, fuck it. But if it's as good as the opening, can't wait.
Yeah, it gets better and better and clever and funny and funnier.
Yeah, that's not something I will say I'm going to play and not play. I will play that at some point before the year's out. It's just trying to find the time, which I probably won't do before the end of the year now. Fucking hell. But yeah, God, absolutely adored the first couple of hours.
Looks nice as well, right?
Really does. I mean, you can say. I mean, I always thought that there was we've reached a certain point where I don't know the benefits of making anything look that much nicer. Pikmin looks stunning. I don't know how much better that could look. I mean, I know it could look better, but what? You could almost lose something. It looks that good.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So yeah, it's good. Good fucking game.
So that was your number.
My number 2, yeah.
Number 2, right. My number 2 is Torchlight 2. I'm not going mad. I didn't talk about this extensively last week, did I? I talked about it.
It was your number. It was like your number 15.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I sat down on I think maybe Friday night last week and really got stuck into Torchlight 2. For the first, it's kind of weird, right? The amount of time that I played it, I had almost full experience of this genre to the point where I've experienced the highs, lows, ins and outs, and now I'm done. I feel like I've got everything that this genre could ever give me, and I'm out within the space of maybe four hours on a Friday night. First, I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying the satisfaction of the combat. I was enjoying the feedback loop of getting more powerful. I was enjoying the new abilities that I was getting. The way you hit the enemies is really satisfying. It feels nice. The world's great. The dungeons were good. I was just like, okay, I'm really starting to get my head around this genre. I really am. And then I kept playing, and I was like, it's the same. And it's the same, and it's the same. Because at first it felt like everywhere I went there was a new enemy type, and then that stopped happening. And then I realised a lot of the enemy types, even though they look different, were basically the same. And then my fears about the genre just kind of came to a head completely. And I felt myself for about half an hour playing it I wasn't really playing. I was just existing, and my mind was actually wandering, thinking about other things. And then the thought of ever playing it again just kind of made me feel a bit sick. It just felt so empty. This happens with me with games all the time, especially when I don't either get involved in the story or really get involved in the mechanics, like a Platinum game, for example. Eventually, I just feel like the whole thing's kind of an exercise in futility, and never more have I felt that than in Torchlight 2. And that's not... I don't want to slate the game, right? This is me. This game is clearly very good. It's a very good example of this genre. It's clearly designed to appeal to people who liked those games 10 years ago as well. So I am not that person. So I don't want to slate the game. It's very, very good. And it was also extremely cheap when I bought it. It's just I knew that genre wasn't for me. My brain doesn't work like that, and I need more. I need proper mechanics or that's what I need really. I think it's too brainless.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. There is nothing worse than playing a game and just being overpowered by the sense that you're really wasting your time. There's nothing worse than that, and I get that kind of feeling from that kind of game as well. Although I haven't played the big daddies, like I'm still tempted to try Diablo 3 when it comes out on consoles next month.
Yeah.
Again,
I've never played Diablo, so I just don't know. I can't see me getting anything out of it. Yeah, I just can't. I'm just done already. Yeah, I don't care. That's the problem. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care if I get new power. What am I going to do? Hit enemies more? I'm not learning anything. I don't feel any. There's no feedback in terms of the feedback that I like is not getting a new toy and that toy being more powerful. It's like getting better at dodge in Bayonetta, or getting fucking better at Pro Evo. The skill ceiling in Pro Evo and FIFA is incredibly high, and it didn't feel like I felt like I kind of hit the skill ceiling on that game already. Just hit and don't be hit, and use your powers and press 1 to do a health potion.
The funny thing about games like that is that they do become fun when you've got other people with you. Not necessarily. I mean, in a slightly mindless way where you're just chatting the whole time. I mean, not necessarily something I think I do, but I have played games like that on co-op where you're mainly just socialising and it happens in the background.
Yeah. No, I get that. That's fine.
But I can understand why it's But then again, Diablo is meant to be the best example of that genre. And it's like if someone came up to you and said, "Oh, I played Mortal Kombat. I'll never play another fighting game." You'd be like, "You've got to try Street Fighter." So I'm still tempted. I mean, although I haven't played Torchlight, I have played some other sort of second tier games in that genre. I like to think I'll try Diablo, but things are hotting up now, so I doubt I'll have the time. But whatever.
Yeah, you won't.
No, I probably won't. So you're not gonna play this anymore?
No, I mean it got 9 on Eurogame, and that was the whole review was a single player focused review, and I just think if that's the 9, then this genre ain't for me, and I just need to stop forcing it.
Yeah.
And if next time I get 4 hours to myself to play computer games, which is never unless it's for work, don't play something like that. Play anything else. All right,
good call. My number 1 then is Charlie Murder on the Xbox 360. It's the second Summer of Xbox Live arcade game. It's out next Wednesday, so Brothers was the first one and Charlie Murder is the second one. Have you heard about it?
I've heard the name. Yeah, I think I know. I think as soon as you start talking about it, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, it's from Scar Studios, who made like Dishwasher, Dead Samurai, and I made a game with zombies in it. Which is, I think it's either the most highly rated or the best-selling XBLIG game, or one of anyway. Did phenomenally well. It's a little bit of Borderlands, it's a little bit of Castle Crashers, and it's a bit of Scott Pilgrim, the beat 'em up.
Yeah.
It's a game that started very, very quietly. I played it on co-op, and as it started, it was kind of like, I've been here before, I've done this, I'm not really feeling it. But over the course of the first 2 or 3 hours, it really, really started to take hold. And primarily that was but I played it with Zeno. Every few minutes, every few seconds at certain points, that's cool. That's really cool. That's so cool. There are so many cool things in it. Well, basically, he plays a punk rock band called Charlie Murder, and they're in the midst of all this infighting with a death metal band.
Okay, I like that.
The death metal band kill them, and there's also a zombie apocalypse going on. I mean, it's a really anarchic game, not just in the plot, which is a little bit mental, but the way the game just constantly shifts what it is. It's at 1 minute you're whitewater rafting down the side of this mountain, and then there's a driving bit, and then there's a rhythm action bit where you're playing with the band. If I was to show you one level and then show you another, you'd think they were two different games. I mean, the art style doesn't change, but the colours are so different. Everything, the pace of play is different. It feels truly anarchic, but basically it's a sort of side-scrolling, kind of like a beat 'em up. Well, yeah, it is a side-scrolling beat 'em up, but there's elements. There's loot drops in it, and there's leveling up systems and stuff. Basically, you drop there's loot all over the place, and it comes in the form of trinkets and jewellery and rock-style clothes that you can put on. They've all got attributes and stats. Some of them have cooldown perks, and some of them have better defence and stuff like that. So you always... The longer you play it, like with Borderlands, after a couple of hours, you spend almost as much time playing it as you do tinkering around with the stuff that you've got.
Right.
Combat is great. You've each got special moves. You can pick from one of 4 members of the band, and the special moves all have stuff to do with your instruments. So I was always the big fat guy, and you just run up and just play a load of drums, and then really cool. Later on, you collect runes, and they can be sort of magic powers and stuff like that. But the ideas in it are just great. I mean, you get magical powers and you upgrade yourself by getting tattoos. To get really, really advanced health power-ups, you pick up stuff like hops and barley, and then you periodically happen upon this brewery and you brew your own beer. Right. Like Grand Theft Auto 4, though, everything is done on your phone. So... there's a mock-up of a social media site, and there's email, and all of your sort of when you level up, when you get new stuff, new moves and stuff, it all comes in the social media, and then you get more followers, and then you level up quicker and stuff like that. There's also QR codes all over the place, and you could use your camera like a camera phone. You see one, you take a snap, and you unlock something different. It's just non-stop. You're like, wow. Cool, fucking cool. Mm-hmm. And the game is really, really fun to play. It will work with one person, obviously, but it's made for 4-player. Like no game, it's one of the most perfect co-op games I've played in a really long time. There are some problems with it. It's not. It kind of feels. It's 800 Microsoft points and it's worth every penny, but it's not quite as sophisticated as we've come to expect Xbox Live Arcade games to be. So, for example, the co-op is not drop in and drop out. Once you have to all be in at the beginning, or you can't jump in midway through. If you have any technical issues, or we had an internet issue halfway through a game, you have to all go back to the beginning and re-sign up again. It saves it. Right. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a strange thing. It feels like a slightly... outdated. There is also periodically, not all the way through, some of the checkpointing is really brutal, and I have a feeling that they might patch it, because there are segments of it where you can play for in excess of 30 minutes, really tough rooms, endlessly reviving each other and using all your shit. If you die, you have to do it all again, and it's like... So, I mean, it's brutally difficult. I think it scales. So, if there was 4 of you, it would still be as difficult as it is. But yeah, that seems like it feels like a mistake in certain places, because there were times where we would be playing for ages, die, and then just like, I can't believe we're being asked to do all of that again. And there's also a couple of issues where the screen doesn't scroll very fast. So if you're moving around quite quickly, you can actually walk off screen and die, and you can't. It's a tiny thing, but when there's sort of 3 or 4 of you in the heat of combat, it can be quite jarring. It's a really, really terrific game. It's a two-person, I should say. Studio. It's one guy and his wife, and on that score, it's 10 times as impressive. But even if you didn't know that, if you're looking for a 4-player co-op game, this is an absolutely superb one. If you're waiting for like the big, once the big games start coming out and stuff, this is a really great. I mean, funny as well, genuinely funny. There are similarities between Scott Pilgrim, the comic, and the movie. Which I won't go into because it's to do with the story. It does have some of those wanky rock cliches like demons and fire and stuff, but there's also a mini game where you smash up a hotel room, and like I said, you level up by getting tattoos. It's just smart stuff and really entertaining, and really liked it a heck of a lot.
That sounds good.
It is good.
That does sound good. Yeah.
And it's only 800. It's the kind of thing that they could very easily have charged 1,200 for, but it's 800 points, and it's really tidy. Really, I mean, it's gonna be if not a cult, there's gonna be a lot of people talking about it next week when it comes out. I should imagine. Yeah,
that does sound good. Yeah, I might check that out. Although cult games for me are a nightmare, but
I know.
Yeah, that does sound good. My number one is this sucks. I hate doing this, but I played it for so fucking long that I have to do it. Is the Bureau XCOM Declassified. Now, obviously, I'm under embargo, so I can't really talk about if it's good, if it's not good. But I know from chatting to you in the week that you didn't really know what it was, right?
No, not really.
So I figure if you don't really know what it was, then probably a few other people don't know what it is. So I can talk about what the game is and how it works, because all that information is out there, previews, etc. So this is the game that was XCOM before, you know, the proper XCOM came out. You know, the first-person shooter where everybody kicked off and they didn't want it. They wanted an XCOM strategy game. You remember what this game was? Yeah. So it'd been developed for about 700 years, and then it eventually resurfaced. It's like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, really not very long ago, as a third-person action game, still set in the 60s. But with a real slant on tactical play, and what that actually translates as is it is Mass Effect combat, basically, but with XCOM's, the strategy XCOM's fallible soldiers. So you play as a guy called Agent William Carter. He's essentially like a G-Man style agent. Sharp suit, fedora, all that jazz, and you take on XCOM-y aliens in third-person combat scenarios. There's story and other stuff on top of it, which I won't really talk about. The combat works exactly like Mass Effect. Basically, you can pause the action to super slow motion, bring up a radial menu. From there, you can hit your powers and activate the powers, or move your two teammates around. The powers work on cooldowns, just like Mass Effect. The powers are very similar to Mass Effect. There's like a lift, there's a pulse wave. It's very, very similar. What I will say, though, on Mass Effect, you know how your teammates would do their powers themselves. They could kind of look after themselves most of the time in Mass Effect. In here, you have to babysit your teammates, which makes everything more strategic. Now, again, this information is out there, so this isn't embargo breaking. The previews covered how the combat works. I'll talk about it more. I think the embargo's either up next week or the week after I finish the game. It's something that there's definitely a lot of stuff to talk about the game. It's just kind of strange that a game could have been in development this long and just end up being what's essentially very similar to another game where it started not like that at all. I hope that doesn't. I don't think that gives anything away, but it probably does if you read in between the lines.
Okay, when's it out?
I'm going to say it's either the 23rd or the 30th of August, so not long. Either the end of next week or you know, I don't need to tell you when our calendar works. I don't know why I'm even talking.
No. Okay. What you should have done is what I did.
What's that?
Subtract your number one that you can't talk about and replace it with something else.
Yeah, but I don't have time.
Neither do I, but you do these things, know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, but what can you do? I did not have time.
Right.
No time in my life.
My life, all right, well, I'll talk about whatchamacallit. I think that's 27th, so it'll be 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't even
Killer is dead, you mean?
Killer is dead, yeah, I don't know.
Sweet.
3 weeks, 8 weeks, 22.
I presume you're just outraged and you can't play it because you don't want to be seen to be playing something like that, I assume.
I'm going to review it in a couple of weeks, and there will be a tirade incoming.
Sweet.
So it's going to be rant-tastic, and I'm telling you, I'm furious about some aspect of that game which some people will know. All right, anyway, look. Thank you very much for listening. Chet Roivas, John Denton, Chet and John's on Twitter. We'll be back next week. Send us stuff on Twitter, recommendations and whatnot. We'll play them. Thank you very much. Take it easy.
Yeah, peace out.
Yep, think I lost a testy in the blast, but what the hell, you only need one.